All right, let's dive into Jeffrey Moore's incredible playbook, Zone to Win. It gets right to the heart of a massive problem for companies that are already on top. How on earth do you keep winning when the world is constantly being turned upside down by disruption? Let's figure it out. You know, it's the question that has to keep CEOs up at night. I mean, you can be the leader in your space, the undisputed champion, you've got the best talent, the best products, and somehow, just a few years later, you're teetering on the edge of irrelevance. How does this keep happening again and again to great companies?
And look, this isn't a list of has-beens. These were the winners. These were the absolute giants of their day. Moore actually points to a list of 56 really well-run companies, all at the absolute peak of their game. And yet, every single one of them missed that next big technological wave. It's a literal graveyard of champions.
So what's the real killer here? Well, according to Moore, it's not a failure of imagination or a lack of money. It's something much deeper, a really painful internal struggle he calls a crisis of prioritization. It's this constant battle for the very soul of the company, a tug of war between the urgent demands of today and the crucial bets you have to make for tomorrow.
So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll dig into that crisis. Then we'll unpack Moore's amazing solution, the 4 Zones framework. We'll see how to play offense and become the disruptor, and then how to play defense when you're the one being disrupted. And we'll wrap up by asking if your organization is set up to win.
Okay, so first up, this whole crisis of prioritization. This isn't just some abstract business school concept. It's a brutal, everyday fight happening inside most big companies.
Picture this. On one side, you've got your main business, your cash cow. It's solid, it's proven, and it needs constant attention and resources just to hit this quarter's numbers and keep Wall Street happy. But on the other side, you've got this risky, unproven, next-gen idea that needs a ton of investment just to see if it has a chance. And the real tragedy? It's treated like a zero-sum game. Every dollar you give to that risky future bet feels like you're stealing it from the reliable present.
So how do you possibly get out of this trap? Moore says that if you keep using the old playbook, you're pretty much guaranteed to fail. So he offers a new one, a playbook designed from the ground up for this age of constant disruption.
And here's the big insight, the core of Moore's entire idea. Stop trying to choose. You don't have to sacrifice today for tomorrow or tomorrow for today. The real solution is to build an organization that can manage both things at the same time, in parallel, by putting them into different zones that play by completely different rules.
And this is it. This is the heart of the whole thing, the 4 Zones model. It's a simple 2x2 grid that organizes everything your company does. The horizontal axis splits things into sustaining innovation, making your current stuff better, and disruptive innovation, creating brand new stuff. The vertical axis separates what brings in revenue now versus what's an investment for later. And where they meet, you get 4 totally distinct zones, each with its own mission, its own way of keeping score, and its own mindset.
First up, the performance zone. Think of this as the humming engine room of your company. This is where your established products live, and it's what generates well over 90% of your revenue. Its mission is crystal clear and absolutely relentless. Make the number. Deliver on your promises quarter after quarter this year.
Now, every engine needs a great support crew, right? Well, that's the productivity zone. This is all your shared services, HR, IT, finance, marketing, legal. Their whole job is to support the performance zone, to make it more efficient, more effective, and help the company hit its numbers and just keep the whole machine running smoothly.
Okay, now we're going to cross the line into the disruptive side of things. Welcome to the incubation zone. This place is basically an in-house venture capital fund. It's a protected space, a lab for nurturing brand new, maybe kind of crazy ideas. These are the long-term bets that might become huge years down the road. The goal here isn't profit today. It's simply to find and test out ideas that could become the company's next billion-dollar business.
And finally, we have what is arguably the most important, most powerful part of this model, the transformation zone. Now, this isn't a permanent department. Think of it as a temporary, all-hands-on-deck, CEO-led mission. Its purpose? To take one promising idea from that incubation zone and pour resources into it to scale it up into the company's next core business.
This, right here, is where the future is literally born.
Okay, so you've got the zones mapped out. Now, how do you actually use them to go on the attack, to catch that next wave of disruption yourself? This is what Moore calls playing zone offense.
The playbook here, it sounds so simple, but let me tell you, it requires an insane amount of discipline. Step 1, the CEO has to pick one, and he means one, bet from the incubation zone. Not your top 2, not a portfolio, one. Step 2, you officially activate the transformation zone, throwing the full weight of the company behind that single bet. And step 3, your one and only mission is to grow that bet until it's a huge success, no matter what it takes.
So what's the goal line? What does material scale even mean in this context? Well, the magic number is 10%. The moment that new business crosses 10% of your company's total revenue, everything changes. Wall Street sits up and takes notice. It's not a pet project anymore. It is a brand new engine for growth that can fundamentally change how your entire company is valued. You know, all the traditional business advice says you should diversify your big bets, right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Well, Moore argues that for transformation, that's precisely the wrong move. As he puts it so well, you have to pick one. You have to lay your eggs one at a time, because you know that's what chickens do.
But let's flip the script. What if you're not the one launching the attack? What if you're the big, established company and you're the one being disrupted? Well, that calls for a totally different playbook. Zone defense.
The advice you always hear is you have to disrupt yourself, cannibalize your own business before someone else does. Moore says that's a fatal mistake. For the company that's already in the lead, the winning move isn't to blow yourself up. It's to follow a very disciplined, 3-step counterattack. First, neutralize the attacker's main advantage. Then optimize your own operations. And only then do you try to differentiate to build a new advantage.
And more. He really doesn't mince words on this one. He says that all that talk about disrupting yourself is just baloney. It can't be done. Trying to tear down your own core business, the one with paying customers and partners and all your revenue, it's basically corporate suicide. You can't ask the people who built the castle to lead the charge to burn it down. The goal is to evolve, not to self-destruct.
So, we've walked through the crisis, the framework, the offensive playbook, and the defensive one. Now let's bring it all home and ask the question that really matters.
Moore uses this absolutely perfect analogy. Think about a little kid's soccer game. What does everybody do? They all just swarm the ball, right? A big, chaotic mess running after one thing. He says that's what most companies look like inside. But real success, in soccer and in business, comes from having a formation. It requires every single person to understand their position, their zone, and to play their specific part in a bigger strategy.
And that, right there, is the crucial takeaway. I want you to think about your own company, your own team. Is there a clear understanding of these different zones? Are people actually playing their positions? Or is it just a chaotic free-for-all with everyone running to the ball? Because being zoned to win could be the ultimate difference between staying a champion and just becoming another name in that graveyard of giants. Thanks for joining.